Thank you, Lecturer Yang, for your wonderful introduction. Thank you. I'm very honored to be back. Thanks to the grace of heaven, the virtues of our holy teachers, the mercy of our Lao Qianren in heaven. And thank you, Master, and all the lecturers, and especially all my brothers and sisters. Thank you for your attendance. And tonight, this topic, we're going to share some passages in the Analects. And the topic is Propriety Ren. I will explain the word REN later. Propriety Ren in the Analects. Okay, let's talk about the Analects. Of course, Lecturer Yang had given us a brief introduction, but now I would like to take a few minutes to explain what is the Analects. What kind of book is the Analects? The Analects, also known as the Analects of Confucius, is the sayings of Confucius, or in Chinese, we say 论语. It's an ancient Chinese book composed of a large collection of sayings and ideas attributed to China's greatest philosopher, Confucius. Greatest philosopher in the Chinese history. So there is a Chinese saying. The saying goes like this: without Confucius, all ages would have been like a long night. So because of Confucius, we have the sunlight, we have the moonlight, and we have the starlight. So without Confucius, all ages in Chinese history, or even in the history of the world, would be like a long night. So about 2,500 years ago, Confucius started to preach the principles of ethics and virtues, to teach students for the purposes of saving the society from social disorder. He worked so hard for over 40 years and helped many people become men of excellent abilities with noble characters. So he had 3,000 students, like Lecturer Yang had told us, with 72 standouts, with 72 outstanding students, and 10 virtuous disciples. So among the 3,000, there were 72 standouts. And among the 72 standouts, there were 10 virtuous disciples. And when Confucius passed away, some of his virtuous disciples, in remembrance of the past vivid situation where they received education from their dear master, they decided that they should not leave the teacher's teaching records unorganized and scattered, but they must compile a book bearing the teacher's instructions instead. So they worked together to compile the book, and that is the Analects of Confucius. And ever since then, it was written. The Analects of Confucius had attracted great attentions, not only from people who want to cultivate, but also from people in political or scholastic circle as well. And the Analects has a very wide recording range. It bears all facts, reflecting the ups and downs. The ups means when Confucius was in office, that means when he worked for the government, or when he was in the downs, that means when he was out of office. And so reflecting his profound understanding and manifestation of Tao. And also included in the Analects are the virtuous deeds and personalities of his disciples. So when we read the Analects of Confucius, we can really learn a lot, a very wide range of philosophy. And with the cultural exchanges between China and other countries, the Analects has found its way into the world long time ago. It spread to some Asian countries in about 300 AD and reached Europe in the 16th century. And Confucius is also one of the patriarchs in the Tao lineage. In the Tao lineage, we know we are disciples of our holy teachers. So our holy teachers, Shi Zun and Shi Mu, are patriarchs in the Tao lineage, And Confucius was also one of the patriarchs in the Tao lineage back 2,500 years ago. And that's why we can find few verses, very few verses hinting at Tao and true nature as testimonies to the preciousness of Tao. Why there are so few verses hinting at Tao? Because at that time was different. At that time, Tao was transmitted on a one-to-one basis, not like now. Nowadays, Tao is allowed to be transmitted universally. That's why Tao was transmitted in China, in Taiwan, in many countries in Asia, or even to the United States, Europe, and Africa. Okay, so now is a universal salvation, universal propagation of Tao. But at that time, Tao was only transmitted on a one-to-one basis. So Confucius transmitted Tao to one of his disciples, Yan Hui, but Yan Hui passed away at a very young age. So Confucius continued to find another successor. So he found Zhenzi, and then Zhenzi received Tao and became the successor to Confucius. Okay, and so Confucius secretly transmitted Tao, but openly he taught principles of ethics and virtues. So the principles of ethics and virtues in the Analects are most needed in Wai-Yang era. That's why nowadays, all the Buddhas, the saints and sages, all the messages from heaven teaches us to learn the scripture, the sutra in Confucianism, because Wai-Yang era, the most needed principles are the principles of ethics and virtues. And furthermore, the teachings are never outdated. The teachings were good in the past, 2,500 years ago, and also now, never outdated, and can be accepted by people all over the world, regardless of their nationalities, languages, cultures, or religions. So Buddhas and holy teachers have encouraged us to study, to share, and practice the teachings of the four books. Like our preacher Yang had mentioned, the four books, the importance of the four books. And Analects is one of the four books. So Buddhas and holy teachers encourage us to study the four books starting from the Analects. And that's why in this Xinmin class, we study the topic of the selective readings of the Analects. Okay, talking about why we study the selective readings from the Analects. Why selected? Because the Analects consists of 20 chapters and 498 verses in total. So our course will focus on selective readings from these 498, or some people say 492. Okay, so we only select some, not all. And the selected verses were selected by our Tao Center in Taiwan, okay? And the selected verses are classified into 6 categories. The first category is Tao and true nature. The second category is propriety and Ren. The third category is filial piety and fraternal respect. Conduct and virtue of a Junzi, conduct and virtue of Confucius, and disciples of Confucius. But tonight, tonight is in Taiwan, but this afternoon is in Johannesburg, right? So this afternoon, we start from category number 2. And why we don't start from category number 1? Because Tao and true nature are intangible. See, Has anybody seen Tao? No. Tao is formless. Tao is intangible. Tao is untouchable. Tao cannot even be explained. Tao can only be comprehended. And Tao is our true nature. So it is profound and relatively difficult to understand. So we start from category number 2, propriety and Ren. Okay. And there's another saying in China, in Chinese culture. There's a saying. The saying goes like this: by applying the principles found in half of the intellects, one can govern the world very well. So only half of the intellects, if we can utilize the principles found in half of the intellects, we can govern the world very well. So it is telling us that when reading the intellects, we don't just stay at a superficial understanding of the literal meaning of the words. We can delve deeper to truly learn and apply the principles in our day-to-day lives. So that's why we select, because we want to delve deeper into the true meaning. So within the span of this afternoon, we have 90 minutes. Within the span of 90 minutes, passages we can read is actually quite limited. So I will select 6 passages if we can finish it. Or maybe if we need to stop when time is up, we may learn less than 6 passages. We can see how far we can go. Okay, propriety and Ren. And this word Ren is not an English word. This is the transliteration of a Chinese character Ren. So the term Ren is very important in Confucian philosophy, and it's the most fundamental concept. Ren has been translated into English in various ways, such as benevolence. Benevolence is the most common translation for Ren. Okay, benevolence, altruism, goodness, compassion, or humaneness, and more. There are many different English versions, translation for the Chinese character Ren. However, translating it accurately is quite challenging because it doesn't specifically refer to a particular virtue or a particular positive quality. Instead, Ren represents an inner capacity that all human beings possess. We possess this capacity so we can do good, and we can act as a human should. So Ren is what differentiates humans from animals. Because inside of us, we have this inner capacity. So we want to do good things. We want to be kind. Although sometimes we have our bad habits or bad temper, but inside, we really want to be a good person. And we want to act as a good person should do. So Ren is not a single virtue. It is the summation of all virtues, and that is Ren, the summation of all virtues. So after receiving Tao, we come to understand that Ren originates from the essence of our true nature, and Ren is actually our conscience. So initially, when I was translating, we attempted to maintain a consistent English term throughout the text to translate Ren, but I found it very difficult. So, however, we later opted to utilize different English terms in different passages. But finally, we decided to leave it untranslated as REN. So REN is not an English term. It's an English transliteration for the Chinese term Ren. Okay. So how was the name of this category? We mentioned propriety and Ren. So how was the name of this category generated? Propriety and Ren. It is because in the analects, this is the passage. Here comes the passage. We choose the name for the category, propriety and Ren. Confucius said, if a man is lacking Ren, what does rights of propriety mean to him? If a man is lacking Ren, what does music mean to him? So we know Ren is our conscience, our inherent virtue, our inherent goodness. So in this verse, in this passage, Confucius points out that etiquette, the rights of propriety, the etiquette, or music will mean nothing to those who are lacking virtue or lacking goodness. And what does that mean? I will explain more. In ancient times, in ancient China, there were several sage kings. And all the sage kings, they composed good melodies and established rights of propriety to what? To guide and transform people. They didn't just preach. They didn't just give lectures, because at that time it was very difficult to go around and give lectures, especially for sage emperors, sage kings. But they would compose good melodies and establish rights, regulation of propriety to guide and transform people. So how was the propriety be established? The propriety was established based on the love and respect originating from conscience of those sage kings. Okay, let's not talk about the ancient China sage kings. Let's talk about now. Nowadays, when we have physical class, like right now, we are on we are online class, right? But when like in Johannesburg, all of you are at the temple, right? So you are actually in physical class. So in the physical class, lecturer Yang will tell you, before a lecture begins, we need to perform 3 steps, and that's our temple regulations. There's 3 steps, 1, 2, 3. So before the lecture comes in, the class leader will say 1, everybody stand up. Everybody stands up, and the lecturer will come in, and the lecturer is going to give a lecture, but he or she does not give a lecture for himself or for herself. He or she give a lecture on behalf of the heaven. We don't give a lecture based on our ability or any power. We give a lecture because of heaven. Because right now, heaven wants all of us to preach, to propagate Tao. So when we are propagating Tao, we need to say something. We need to explain. So we give lectures because heaven wants us to do this. Okay, so we give lecture on behalf of heaven. So before we give lectures, we would go inside and make 3 vows to God and Buddhas to show our love and respect to God and Buddha. Okay, and then 2, class leader will say 2, and 2, the lecturer turn around and face the audiences, and the audiences will show love and respect to the lecturer, and the lecturer will show his or her love and respect to the audiences. So the audience and the lecturer will greet each other, like say, good afternoon, how are you? a good morning, a good evening, okay? And then 3, the lecturer will tell the audience to be seated, to take a seat. Because during the process, the whole lecture, the lecturer doesn't want the audience to stand all the way, right? So he show his love and respect for the audience. Everybody, please be seated. Okay, and he himself or herself, because in a standing position, it's easier for him or her to give lectures. But he or her or she is considerate for all the audience. So he would tell everybody, please be seated. So let's think about it. The temple etiquette, 1, 2, 3, all based on love and respect. And do you know who established the rights of the temple etiquette of 1, 2, and 3? Do you know that? Our holy teacher, our Suzhen, our holy teacher established the temple etiquette, all the temple etiquette. Okay, so propriety, etiquette, the great sage established propriety and etiquette based on their love and respect. Okay, so when sentient beings to perform the propriety, the etiquette, well, this propriety, this etiquette will inspire the love and respect from the heart of the sentient beings. So like all of us, when we are performing all the rituals, when we are following all the etiquette, 1, 2, and 3, if we don't love each other, if we don't respect each other, then what's the meaning? What's the meaning of performing all these rituals, all the rites? It's meaningless, right? Because great sage, because holy teacher want us to perform this to show, to inspire our love and respect for each other. But without really delve into our heart to comprehend, to feel the love and respect, holy teacher want to teach us, who taught us to follow the etiquette, to inspire love and respect inside of ourselves. Without this, then what's the meaning of performing 1, 2, 3? Okay. Okay, let's talk about music. The Chinese character for music, this character is the same character for happiness. Very interesting, right? In Chinese, happiness called 乐, the same word, and music called 乐. But 乐 and 乐, the same character pronounced differently. And why the same character? Why? Because when a person is happy, they will hum, forming a melody, right? When you are happy, you will like hum a melody. Okay, so therefore, the Chinese word for music is 乐, and the Chinese word is 乐, and the Chinese word for happiness also 乐, pronounced differently, but the same character. So the sound of music, music composed by sage kings is the manifestation of the true happiness originating from their conscience. So they compose those melodies to bring heavenly happiness to the world, to transform people. So why performing rites of propriety or listening to good melodies made by saints and sages? People can reflect upon their true nature to beautify their mind. That's the function of performing rites of propriety. That's the effect of listening to good music, can beautify our mind. However, without cultivating the mind and revealing the conscience, what benefits does it bring to perform rites of propriety or listen or sing holy songs? Like in our Dao community, we have many holy songs composed, the lyrics given by great saints and sages or Buddhas or holy teachers. And the melodies may use popular song, or some melodies are composed by our the talents, the music talents in our Dao community. So when singing holy songs, do we cultivate our mind and reveal our conscience? Without that, without cultivating our mind and revealing the conscience, then what benefits does it bring to listen to holy songs? That's the meaning of this passage. Okay, that's as a review to end this passage. The master said, if a man is lacking Ren, what does the rights of propriety mean to him? If a man is lacking Ren, what does music mean to him? Mean nothing. So if there is no conscience, Ren has a very broad meaning, right? Ren is our conscience. If there is no conscience, no respect for others, what is the use of adhering to etiquette and manners? If there is no true happiness generated from within, no matter how one listens to music, it cannot beautify one's state of mind. Okay, that's the first passage. And the second passage, since Ren is our inner conscience, if we want to seek Ren, we should be able to find it anytime and anywhere, right? Because Ren is from inside, not from outside. So since Ren is something inherent within us, so we should be able to find it anytime, anywhere, because it is right with us. Okay, let's see how Confucius taught us. Confucius said, is Zen so far away from us? No, because I wish to have virtue of Zen, and Zen is here at hand. Confucius clearly teaches us that Zen is very near, it's here at hand. Okay, so let's elaborate more. Zen is our conscience, our inherent virtue, our inherent goodness. But why sometimes people feel Ren is so far away? Sometimes people believe that Ren belongs to those great saints and sages. Why? Because when people give up conscience, they will find Ren far away from them. But even with just a moment of awakening, a moment of repentance, and the discovery of conscience, Ren immediately emerges because Ren is right within us. It is never far away. It is never far away. So Ren is our inherent virtue. It is within us. But if we ignore our intrinsic Ren, and if we are lost in the material world, then Ren is far away from us. So it's up to us. If we don't search inside, if we don't contemplate inside, and we're lost in the eternal material world and pursue after those physical satisfaction, material satisfaction, then Ren is far away from us. But if we can turn inward and reflect upon our true nature, our true self, Ren is right here and now. And to receive Tao is to encounter one's inherent Buddha nature. To receive Tao is to meet a Buddha. Firstly, we thought that to receive Tao, we meet Jigong Living Buddha, our Shizhen, our holy teacher. But Jigong Living Buddha initiate us, guide us to encounter our inherent Buddha nature. So to receive Tao is to encounter one's inherent Buddha nature. And after receiving Tao, we need to cultivate, we need to practice. And to cultivate Tao is to restore and manifest one's inherent Buddha nature. And when we restore and manifest our inherent Buddha nature, Ren is right within one's Buddha nature. We'll find Ren. It's right there. It's right there. Okay. As a review to end this passage, the master said, Is Ren so far away from us? No, it's never far away, because when I wish to have Ren, when I wish to have virtue of Ren, Ren is right here at hand. Okay, we will go to the second passage for this afternoon. There's another passage resonates harmoniously with the previous passage. When we wish to find Ren, and Ren is right here at hand. Another passage resonates harmoniously with this passage. Okay. This is the third passage for this afternoon. The master said, I have never met someone who loves Ren or someone who hates. Well, I created this word, non-Ren. Non-Ren means contradictory to Ren, means not Ren. Well, I use a composed word, non-Ren. Well, in Chinese, I would say 不仁, which means contradictory to Ren. Well, Master Confucius said, I have never met someone who loves Ren or someone who really hates 不仁. Those who love Ren would consider it as the most precious treasure. Consider this, when you love something, then you will think this object is the most precious in the world, right? When you love someone, you will think that this someone is the most lovable person in the world. Likewise, when you love Ren, you will consider Ren as the most precious treasure. And as for those who hate 不仁, naturally they would practice Ren in such a way that they would not allow anything against Ren to affect them. Like, for example, like we hate something that is not clean, like we hate the dust. That's why we mop the table. We keep our environment clean because we don't like those dusts, right? So naturally we will clean every day. Like we don't like our face not clean, then we'll wash our face. Okay, or we'll keep our face, keep our teeth clean because we don't want it to be dirty, right? Because we hate dirtiness. Okay, so if we hate 不仁, we don't want our mind to be polluted by 不仁, then naturally we would practice Ren in such a way that they would not allow anything against Ren to affect them. And Confucius continued to expound. Is there anyone who can exert a whole day's effort to practice Ren? I have never seen one who lacks sufficient strength. Maybe there are some, but I have never yet met one. So within this passage, we can divide it into two concepts. The first concept is someone who really loves Ren and who really hates 不仁. Okay, so those people will do their best, will strive to protect their Ren inside of their heart, inherent within their heart. They will protect their Ren. And the second concept within this passage is, if we want to protect our Ren, if we want to practice Ren, we do not think our whole life. We don't think in for a year or 10 years or 20 years for a long time. We just take one day as a unit. Okay, we just take one day. For today, we ask ourselves, have I done something wrong? Have I cultivated the Ren inside of inherent within my true nature? If I can exert a whole day's effort to practice Ren just for today, and that's enough for today. That's today's job. So take one day for a unit. And if we can practice them for today, then we can practice them for another day, for tomorrow. And then we can also practice them for the day after tomorrow. And then we can practice them daily, day after day. And eventually, we can reach our destination and attain enlightenment. Okay, so we don't look in a very long way. If we look at a very far away future, then we may not feel it. It's a long and winding road. It's hard to reach our destination, but we just take one day as a unit. It's easier. So this passage we can elaborate from these two concepts. Okay. Firstly, I would like to use an example in the nature to elaborate Ren in our true nature. An example in the nature is the seed. In plants, Ren, the same Chinese character for kernel. For kernel is Ren. It's the same as the goodness within the human heart, the virtue, the same Chinese word. Okay, so I want to use the concept of the kernel within a seed of a plant to elaborate the good virtue inherent within us. Okay, let's talk about the seed first. In plants, Ren is the most nutritious part of a nut that is inside the shell and can provide nutrition for the seed to sprout and grow. And as to Ren within human's true nature, Ren is the inherent goodness within the human heart, embodying the perfect virtue, kindness, and benevolence. And what's the relationship between the inherent goodness within human heart and the most nutritious kernel within the seed of a plant? Just as the kernel is the most nutritious part of a seed and provides the nourishment necessary for seed germination, Ren is the fundamental essence of our inherent nature. That's the similarity between the fundamental essence of our true nature and the kernel within a seed, because the kernel within a seed is very nutritious, and the Ren within our true nature is very virtuous. Okay, and the Ren within us is very virtuous. It encompasses all virtues, enabling self-fulfillment internally. If we can manifest our Ren inside, we can we can enable self-fulfillment internally, and also we can benefit others externally. So comprehending Ren can better oneself internally, while manifesting Ren can benefit others externally. Okay, so those who love Ren, Confucius said, those who love Ren would consider it as the most precious treasure. That is because the essence of our true nature is the most precious asset in our lives. Because the ultimate goal of a human life should be to restore our own inherent nature. Because all the outside, like no matter how much money you possess, or how high a social status you have, or even how knowledgeable you are, everything will pass. Everything will go into history, or everything eventually will vanish. But our true nature is always there. Our true nature is always with us. So after this physical body vanish, where will you go? That's the ultimate goal of life. Restore our true nature, our own inherent nature, and we want to go home. Of course, going home doesn't necessarily mean after someone passing away. We can go home even when we are still living on this earth, even when we are still alive. When a person go home means he or she restore his or her own true nature. So his mind or her mind will be stable and compassionate, considerate, and peaceful. Of course, all this good character cannot be reached within like several days or several weeks, within a short period of time. It may take a whole life to cultivate, but we can always make progress. That today, I want to exert a whole day life, a whole day effort to manifest our Zhen, to cultivate. So I'll be better today. I will be better than the one when I was in yesterday. So today I will be better than yesterday, and tomorrow will be better than today. So I will make progress, more and more stable, more and more compassionate, and more peaceful. That's we go home when we are still alive. And of course, if we can walk on the right track, then when someday, when that day comes, when we need to say goodbye to the world, of course, go back to our heavenly home. So the ultimate goal of life is to restore our own inherent true nature and help, of course, help others restore theirs to do this. So that's the ultimate goal. That's why those who love Zen would consider it as the most precious treasure. Okay, so someone who loves Zen will consider it as the most precious treasure. He would hate Buddhism. So as for those who hate Buddhism, naturally they would practice Zen in such a way that they would not allow anything against Zen to affect them. They will cultivate carefully and mindfully and always do self-examination. They will strive to maintain the purity of one's state of mind. Let it be like the unpolluted whiteness of plum blossoms. These are the beautiful plum blossoms in Taiwan. Well, during the COVID-19, when we have to travel, we travel in our own country, in Taiwan. So when I was traveling, like probably last year or the year before last year, I forgot, I took the picture. I was so touched by the whiteness of the plum blossoms. So when someone who really hates Buddhism, they will protect their true nature to be like the white, to maintain the whiteness of the plum blossoms. They won't let anything to pollute their original innocence, their original whiteness, original purity. They will cultivate carefully and mindfully. Okay, now I'm going to tell a story. Since people who love Zen and hate Buddhism, they will consider Zen as the most precious treasure and cannot tolerate even a slight trace of unkind thoughts to pollute their mind. They will insist on practicing Zen. Now, here goes this story. In the past, traditionally, ancient cultivators, they practiced in solitude in the cave. Nowadays, all the practitioner, all the cultivator, we don't do meditation like this because we are very busy. We have many things to do. We have many tasks to perform. We have many duties to fulfill. We don't have time to do meditation in solitude. But when we are very busy doing everything, luckily we have our three treasures. We can cultivate even when we are talking, even when we are working, or when we are walking or sitting or running, in everything you do, you can cultivate because we have our three treasures. We can always concentrate on our first treasure. We can always recite the second treasure silently within our mind. And when it is possible, we can even hold the third treasure. The third treasure, like when you are taking a public transportation, for example, like on a bus, if you have a seat, then you can hold the third treasure, right? Okay, so nowadays and versus in the past, time was different. In the past, ancient cultivators, they practiced in solitude in a cave. Okay, and there was a young monk who decided to cultivate and look for a suitable cave for his cultivation. And eventually he found one after a long search, and he cleaned it up. And when he was ready to start his meditation, there came an old monk, entered the cave and said, "You are so young and have a lot of time to cultivate, and I'm so old that I need to hurry up with my cultivation. Could you please let me have this cave?" And the young monk thought, "Oh, I'm still young, and look at him. He is now so old. So it is reasonable that I decide to let the old man have the cave." Okay, so he yielded his clean cave to the old monk. And then the young man continued searching for a cave, and with time and effort, he found another one. And then here comes a physically challenged man, entered the well-cleaned cave and said, "You are still young and strong enough to search for a new one. But I have difficulties walking and my arms are so weak. Look at me. I can't possibly find a suitable cave to meditate. So could you please let me have this cave?" And the young man was reluctant. But however, he helped the physically challenged man too. But as the years went by, the young man would look for a cave, and whenever he found a new cave and he cleaned it up, and there would always come someone, always ask for it after he found one and got it ready. Eventually, the young man grew older and older, and he finally found a cave he really liked. As he settled down, a young man came in and said, "You are an old man. There isn't enough time for you to cultivate and attain your goal. Look at me. I'm so young and strong. I'm young and I have a better chance of being successful in my cultivation. Why not let me have this cave?" So, if you are this practitioner, what would you think? What would you feel? Sad? Disappointed? But let's see how he responded. Now this old monk thought, "I'm too old and weak to look for another cave." But he did not say that. "How can you be so cruel to me?" He did not say that. He just think, "I'm so old. I'm so weak. I can't possibly look for another cave." But he contemplated his situation. Still, he decided to yield the cave to the young man. He still decided to help the young man to achieve his goal. But here comes the miraculous conclusion. as he was about to exit the cave, a golden Buddha, a golden ray appeared before him and said, "You have completed your cultivation for Ren. You have completed your cultivation. Now you can follow me. You are a candidate for Buddhahood." So let's review this story. During the process, ever since he was a young monk, and then he grew older and older, and then he became very old. During the process from a young man to an old man, during the process of cultivation, he did not have any thought, any selfish thought. He did not have any selfish thought. If he was selfish, if he held any resentment, any anger, if he was calculative, if he was angry, and then he couldn't possibly come so far. I remember that our 老前人 once taught us, our 老前人, pure water elder, 白水圣地, our 老前人 once taught us, is there any bodhisattva who will hate someone? Never. If he or she is a truly bodhisattva practitioner, he or she would never hate anyone. Is there any bodhisattva who will not help someone to cultivate Tao? Never. If someone who is truly a bodhisattva practitioner, he or she will always help someone to cultivate. So when people ask him, not for money, not for any physical desire, satisfaction, but for cultivation, a bodhisattva practitioner will always help him. Of course, on the process of cultivation, on the journey of cultivation, probably because of your sacrifice, you will lose your privilege, your benefit, maybe you deserve something, but someone just take your opportunity, take your reward. So on the path of cultivating and practicing Tao, if people cause you losses, heaven will surely compensate you. We need to have this faith. No matter how people cause us losses, as long as we are cultivating and practicing Tao, heaven will surely compensate us, compensate our loss. So insist on practicing them. So helping others succeed is really forging one's own attainment. When a person is on the track of bodhisattva cultivation, to help other people succeed, it's really forging our own attainment of what? Of a higher level of spiritual comprehension, spiritual realization. So one will become more selfless and magnanimous by placing others' needs first. Okay, so sometimes our sufferings will make us feel that life is so difficult. The future looks so bleak, and the intended results are nowhere to be found. But however, insisting on kindness and helping others may lead us to what we would like to achieve via a different route from what we thought, because heaven will always reward us for our sacrifice. What does it mean by a different route? Because usually we will think that we will harvest what we planted. Like I plant I put in effort, that eventually I will harvest my goal because I put in effort. But a different route is somebody might take your harvest. You put in a lot of effort, and then here comes your harvest. And then here comes someone who take your harvest, who take your benefit, who take your reward, who take your opportunity, and it's not fair. Don't jump to conclusion too soon. Heaven will always reward you for your selfless sacrifice, for your willingness to help other people to succeed in their cultivation. So cultivation can never be completed without wu wei, without compassion or selflessness. So that's why, actually, for that story, the story we have just shared, the circumstances that monk, from when he was very young till he was very old, all the stories were just trials, just like tests, examinations given by Buddha to test his compassion, to test his selflessness. And after he passed all the tests, then here came the Buddha, show him the way. Now you have completed your cultivation for Ren. Now you are a candidate for Buddhahood. Okay, we said there are two concepts for this passage. The first concept is for someone who loves Zen and who hates Buddhism. Another concept is one day. Take one day as a unit. Okay, Confucius said, is there anyone who can exert a whole day's effort to practice Zen? I have never seen one who lacks sufficient strength. Okay, so intrinsic nature, intrinsic nature is our Zen. So since it is intrinsic, it is because of lacking effort. If we say we cannot practice Zen, it is because we lack effort. It is not because we lack ability, because Zen is right within us. So if we want to put in our effort, we want to make it possible, we don't think too far. We just think today, okay? So here comes a saying, a Chinese proverb. 一日修来一日功，一日不修一日空。One day's cultivation has one day's merit. One day's idleness results in one day passed in vain. So we set our goal for just one day's cultivation first, and then we'll find it easier to accomplish. So if we renew ourselves for one day, we can renew ourselves daily, and we'll continue to do so, and eventually we will reach our destination, reach our goal. Okay, because my time is 90 minutes, right? So I will continue for another 30 minutes, about another 30 minutes left for this session. So as a review for this passage, the master said, I have never met someone who loves Zen or someone who hates Buddhism. Those who love Zen will consider it as the most precious treasure. And as for those who hate Buddhism, naturally they would practice Zen in such a way that they would not allow anything against Zen to affect them. So is there anyone who can exert a whole day's effort to practice Zen? I have never seen one. I have never seen one who lacks sufficient strength. Maybe there are some, but I have not yet met one. Okay, this passage. Let's go to next passage. So since Zen is our inherent nature, and then how should a cultivator practice Zen to fully manifest its great function? Confucius students were eager to know. So Confucius gave different answers to different students according to the individual's aptitude and abilities in Cai Shi Jiao. But due to space limitations, only two cases will be presented here. So let's go to the fourth passage for this afternoon. 子贡 asked Confucius a question. 子贡 said, suppose the case of a man extensively benefiting the people and offer assistance to all. What do you think of him? Can we say that he has reached the state of Ren? 子贡 was a very talented disciple within Confucius' students. 子贡 very talented, very good at speech, very good at politics, and also very good at doing business. So he was a very rich man, very, very rich, and very high social status. So when he thought about Ren, he would think that if he can help a lot of people and doing a lot of charitable work and benefit a lot of people, can he practice Ren in this way? He asked Confucius. But let's look at Confucius' answer. Confucius said, oh, how can he just be Ren? How can he be just Ren? His actions go beyond merely reaching the state of Ren. Wow, that is beyond Ren's level, higher than Ren. He is practically a sage. Even Yao and Sun might not be able to achieve this. Yao and Sun were ancient sage emperors in ancient China about 4,300 years ago. And Confucius was a sage about 2,500 years ago. So Yao and Sun were even much longer ago than Confucius' era. So Confucius said even Yao and Sun might not be able to achieve this. Okay, so Confucius denied Zigong's concept. Actually, Zigong's concept is not right, not correct. But Confucius did not say, oh, you are wrong. Confucius said, oh, because Confucius understood that Zigong's situation, because he was very rich, so he wanted to help a lot of people through his wealth or his high position. But consider this, not everyone can be rich, right? Not everyone can be in a high position, right? But everyone can practice Ren. That is the true meaning of Ren. So Confucius told Zigong, now a Ren man wishing to establish himself seeks also to establish others. Wishing to accomplish his goals, he seeks also to help others accomplish theirs. And in doing that, he puts himself in other people's place. This may be called the art of Zen. 杨讲师，对不起，后学必须去喝一下水，因为有点要咳嗽。So
李老师，你有听到吗？我们发言了，都有在听。
好，
都拍手。
Yes, I would like to take 1 to 2 minutes to have a cup of water because I feel some kind of problem in my throat. Okay, so I will leave that for 1 minute. Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Yeah, continuous 90 minutes without drinking any drop of water. Yeah, not easy. Yeah, she is so fluently in English. You can hear that. Yeah, we're talking about this Zen. My name, Ren Xiang. That Zen is what we are talking about. This Zen. You know Zen? Let me show you this more.
Okay, I'm back.
I'll tell you later.
Okay, and Confucius said, now a Zen man wishing to establish himself.
Just straighten your body. 他们做累的时候起来伸展一下腰。
是，好。
好 ，OK，
好。
please sit down.
A good way to, a practical way to practice Zen is, Confucius taught us, a Zen man wishing to establish himself, he will seek also to establish others. Wishing to accomplish his goals, he seeks also to help others accomplish theirs. And in doing that, he puts himself in other people's place. To put your feet in other people's shoes. That's the way of doing Zen. That may be called the art of Zen. So 能进取辟 means this way, this method is very simple, very easy, very close to everyone, very close to everyone's feelings. So to be able to take one's own feelings as a guide to treat other people is to put yourself in other people's place, to put your feet in other people's shoes. And then you can accomplish them. Okay, let's elaborate this passage. Extensively benefiting and helping all people, like Zigong have said, of course, are benevolent deeds. If you donate a lot of money and help people, if they need food, they don't have money to buy food, you donate money for their food, their clothing, their shelters. Of course, those are benevolent deeds. There is no doubt about it. However, to be able to do this, certain external conditions are indispensable, like you need to be rich. You need to be resourceful. You need to be in a higher social status. So maybe someone will donate, then you can have a lot of resources, but not everyone can do that. But Zen is one's conscience, is everyone's conscience. So Confucius points out that there is a fundamental method to start from the heart. And what is that? Confucius taught us, now the man of Zen, wishing to establish himself, seeks also to establish others. He wants to succeed, so he also wants to help others succeed. Wishing to accomplish his goals, he seeks also to help others accomplish theirs. And in doing that, he puts himself in other people's place. This may be called the art of Zen. Okay. So it's just like we can think in this way. As long as I hope to obtain something, like I want safety, so I want to help other people be safe. I want clothing. So if I, within my ability, if people, they need clothing, but they don't have the ability to find some, then I want to help. I need food. I need food. And when I see people who need food, but they cannot buy food, I want to help them. Okay, all those are very basic compassion. So as long as I hope to obtain something, I'm willing to help others. And this attitude is something that everyone can accomplish within our capability. So put our feet in other people's shoes. This is empathy. While we want to be better, like when we are cultivating Tao, propagating Tao, and when we find that because of receiving Tao and practicing Tao, so we find that we are protected by heaven, we are protected by God and Buddhas. And this sense of being protected, this sense of safety, I also want other people to have it. So we want to help others to have it to be better too. So we want to preach Tao, to have more people to receive Tao, to share the grace of heaven. So as long as I want something good, I also want to help other people have that. And also, when I don't want something to happen to us, don't do to others what we don't want others to do to us. Everybody can do it if we want. This is something we can do. Everybody can do it if we want. Okay, so now I would like to quote a saying from Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was a very successful celebrity in doing charity works. But consider this, he said, she was already very great, doing great things, but she started from this concept. She said, not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. Everybody can do small things with great love. And that is Ren. Charity begins at home. So Ren is the summation of all virtues within our inherent nature. And Tao should be practiced in everyday life, should be practiced at home, begins at home. As a review, Zigong said, suppose the case of a man extensively benefiting the people and offer assistance to all. What do you think of him? Can we say that he has reached the state of Zen? Confucius said, how can he be just Zen? His actions go beyond merely reaching the state of Zen. He is practically a sage. Even Yao and Sun might not be able to achieve this. Now, a Zen man wishing to establish himself seeks also to establish others. Wishing to accomplish his goals, he seeks also to help others accomplish theirs. And in doing that, he puts himself in other people's place. And this may be called the art of Zen. Okay, the next passage, the fifth passage for this afternoon. Zizang asked Confucius about Zen. Confucius said, if you are able to practice 5 virtues, wherever you go, you always practice these 5 virtues, then you are practicing Zen. And Zizang begged to ask what the 5 virtues were. And Confucius said, courtesy, leniency, trustworthiness, diligence, and charity. 5 virtues. If you are courteous, you will not be treated with disrespect. Because you are polite to everyone, then everyone will do the same, will be polite to you. If you are lenient, you will gain the favor of people. If you are lenient, you are broad-minded, you can forgive, then people will like to work with you, will like to be with you. Okay, so you will gain the favor of people. If you are trustworthy, then people will entrust responsibility to you. If you are trustworthy, your boss will give you a job. If you are trustworthy, your subordinate will, your employee will work for you because they know that you are a good boss. So if you're trustworthy, people will entrust you. If you are diligent, then you will get results. If you are diligent, you do things, you put in effort, then you will succeed. You will get results. You will improve yourself. You will make progress day by day. You will get results. And if you're kind, this will enable you to employ the services of others. If you are kind to other people, then when you are in need, people will be very willing to serve you because they want to repay your kindness, right? So sometimes we are very resourceful. We can help a lot of people. But what if sometimes we are in need of help. Then we need to ask help from other people. So if we have helped a lot of people in the past, then those people will be grateful. And when you are in need, they will repay your kindness. So if you are kind, this will enable you to employ the services of others. So this passage is different because I want to quote a holy revelation from our holy teacher to explain this passage of the Analects. See, this holy revelation, here is a lucky clover. Let's first go to the definition of a lucky clover. Holy teacher gave us this holy revelation. Holy teacher sends us a gift of lucky clover. The definition of lucky clover typically refers to the 4-leaf clover. See, the clover has 4 leaves. A 4-leaf clover, which is a variation of the common 3-leafed clover. And the 4-leaf clover is considered a symbol of good luck in many cultures because it's rare to find one. Because if you search in 5,000 3-leaf clover, then you possibly, if you're lucky enough, you can find one. So the frequency of finding a 4-leaf clover is 5,000 to 1. So finding one is often thought to bring good fortune and is associated with the fulfillment of one's wishes. So if you can find a lucky clover, then you can make a wish and your wish may be fulfilled. Well, it's a universal belief that that's the miracle of finding a lucky clover. And each leaf of the clover is said to represent something. So in this holy revelation, I will want to share how Holy Teacher teaches us. Each leaf represents something. Okay, let's see this. The lucky clover, let's start from the upper left, side. Gong. Gong means courtesy. In English translation, courtesy. That means one should emulate the modesty of rice ears. See, here is a plant, rice, and rice has rice ears. And when the rice ears bow lower, means they become more mature. When they become more mature because of the weight, so they will bow lower because they have abundance inside. Okay, so we come to the temple. We come to the temple actually to learn courtesy. Think about it. You come to the temple, the receptionist of the temple will do what? Will present a clean towel to you, right? Will present a clean towel to you and make a bow. Please clean your hands. And of course, you politely receive the towel and clean your hands, right? And then you go inside the temple and make 3 bows to God and Buddha. So we come to the temple, the first step, we come to learn respect, courtesy. We come to learn respect each other, don't we? And that is courtesy, gong. Okay, so Holy Teacher give us this rice ears. When rice ears are mature, they bow lower. So when you cultivate better and better, then you show your courtesy more and more. All right? And the second virtue, leniency, lower left, quan leniency. So within this leaf, we can see there are seagulls and there are ships. And that means with a broad and tolerant mind, like the vast blue sea and sky, There were seagulls. Seagulls can soar, and large ships can navigate within. And this concept actually comes from a Chinese saying. A Chinese saying goes like this. The body of a prime minister is so big that it can allow ships to navigate within. 宰相肚里能撑船啊. It means that one needs to be broad-minded, accommodating, and lenient in order to navigate complex situations and overcome obstacles. Because to be a prime minister, he has a lot of complex situations and obstacles to deal with. So he needs to be broad-minded so he can deal with those complex situations. So use a big body. Within the big body, even ships can navigate within. It's an old Chinese saying. So let's see. When we come to the temple, see, when we are in the temple, when we are at the temple, no one will push you. No one will oppress anyone or exclude anyone, right? We all strive to support each other. We all strive to help each other in walking the path of Tao cultivation. So at the temple, are we not learning to be more lenient and forgiving? Yes. In the temple, we learn to be more lenient and forgiving. And our holy teacher further expound the meaning of leniency. Holy teacher said, by cultivating a lenient mindset, we can find contentment and freedom from anxieties. Being generous and gentle can gain support of others. And a generous and tolerant attitude can bear the impact of external circumstances. And leniency and forgiveness can transform others. Possessing a generous and magnanimous mindset allows us to be accepting and accommodating towards all things and situations. So all these principles, we need to reflect, we need to examine ourselves and reflect and contemplate on the meaning of the holy teachings, and then we can have some, we can be inspired. It cannot be just explained during the lecture. We need to just like savor the taste of the teaching and try to comprehend and practice it, and then you can find the true meaning behind those words, the true meaning of these teachings that our holy teacher wants us to understand. Okay, and let's go to the third leaf, the lower right leaf, trustworthiness. So in the lower right leaf, you can see the sun and the moon. So holy teacher used the example of the sun and the moon to tell us to be trustworthy. So let's see, being trustworthy like the sun and moon, because the sun and moon always present for every sunrise and every sunset, right? Every day, sun and moon never absent. Every moonrise and every moonset, never absent a single day. So in the temple, let's talk about what's happening at the temple. See, in the temple, everyone is punctual, right? For classes, fulfilling our responsibilities. Whatever job you do, you need to fulfill your responsibilities, okay? Without running away. So in the temple, isn't this a practice of trustworthiness? Well, you can feel it. You can consider this principle, contemplate upon this principle in the future, okay? And the fourth virtue, we have 5 virtues to talk about. The fourth virtue, diligence. The upper right leaf, diligence. Holy teacher highlights the characteristic of ants. So you can see there are 2 ants. Well, ants are very small insects. And what's the importance of the ants? Holy teachers say, when ants smell something sweet, they rush to it first. They are very diligent. They will rush to something sweet first. And they also call their companions to come. Ants are not selfish. They will share something sweet to their companions. So because they understand teamwork, so they know teamwork will increase their chances of success. So ants are hardworking, industrious, and collaborative. So ants, because of these good qualities, these qualities can lead ants to success. So Holy Teacher even want us to learn from the ants. But actually everything on earth, everything in the nature, always has something to learn. If we are humble enough, we can always learn from others, even from ants. Okay, so let's look in the temple. In the temple, everyone is very diligent. Usually on weekends or Sundays, okay, like today, Sundays, we tend to be, usually on weekends or Sundays, usually we tend to be lazy and unproductive because after 5 days working, usually we tend to be lazy. But on Saturdays and Sundays at the temple, there are often activities, right? So each participant, you need to wake up early and you need to drive or ride a bike or motorcycle or take public transportations to come to the temple, right? And you actively engage in your responsibilities. So it is a very good chance to practice diligence in the temple. So now we have fulfilled four virtues. Fulfill the four virtues of the four leaves. Okay. So to fulfill the four virtues, there must be a purpose. There must be a goal for us to attain. And our goal is, Holy Teacher teaches us, our goal is for charity. See, the stem of the lucky clover is charity. Charity. Let's talk about charity. When I finish this passage, I will call it a day. Originally, I prepared 6 passages, but I find time is insufficient, so I will stop after I finish this passage. So 5 minutes left. So this lucky clover takes charity as its stem. Holy Teacher teaches charity. This word, charity, means to help those in need, right? So when we do charity work, we are driven by our compassion. We want to help. But consider this, the greatest charity in the world is what? Saving people's life, right? Saving people's physical life is a great charity. But if we can further save people's sentient beings' spiritual life, is the greatest charity. To save sentient beings' souls, to transcend the endless cycle of reincarnation. Okay, so wishing that each and every one of us has received Holy Teacher's gift, the lucky clover, and diligently cultivates the virtues of courtesy, leniency, trustworthiness, and diligence in doing the charity work of propagating Tao to save sentient beings, so that we can repay the grace of heaven and the virtues of our holy teachers. So I need to stop here. If I have made any mistakes, I beg for God and Buddha's forgiveness. And I hope that Preacher Yang and all the brothers and sisters, if you have any questions, you can leave a comment for Preacher Yang, and then Preacher Yang will tell me. So maybe next time I can respond to your questions, or And now I would like to leave the time left for Preacher Young for you to discuss. It's your discussion time. So I will stop right here. And thank you all. Thank you for your attention. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Everyone, stand up.